We are as close to a cultural civil war as we have been since the 1860s.
Newt Gingrich is like responsible for half the culture war in this country, literally with what is known as wedge issues.
Hey, my name is Mike. I am a member of the Walkaway movement, which is people who have walked away from the left and the Democratic Party.
Dude, what's up, dude? Yo, somebody needs to reel in the cis white gays, dude. What's going on with this walk away shit? Why is it always like, what's happening, dude? Some of these conservative cis white gays are like, listen, I love dick, but I love racism. Okay, I can't stop. Like, I will give up dick for racism. All right, sorry. It's a part of me, all right? Stop these dudes. I'm looking right at you, chat. Gorbachev, stop these dudes, okay? They don't deserve it.
My name is Amy. I am a veteran and a mom of 3 boys. I'm a registered independent, but I tend to lean conservative.
Wait, what? She literally said she's progressive at the Trump video.
When it comes to social issues and everything, I could be considered a little bit more liberal, but I do support our president.
Bro, yo, grifter alert, dude. She literally said she was the progressive one in the Trump video, bro.
The United States is the greatest country on earth.
When I think about America being the greatest country, one of those benefits that I do think is so great is we have the freedom of choice. There's many countries where
Big Buffet.
their voices are suppressed. Even typing our thoughts on the internet, that's suppressed.
I really, truly, fully believe that America is really the last standing pillar of democracy as a whole in the entire world right now. When it comes to the people having the choice on what direction this country goes, right now, especially in 2020, I feel like we're personally the only country left where we have that opportunity.
Bro, we found out earlier today that, like, you can be just as Islamophobic, if not more, in France, okay? So, like, no, they have our freedom, even in freedom fries France. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry.
If you look at other Western countries that we think of as being free countries, they're really not anymore. I mean, in the UK, you have comedians being put on trial for...
Oh, God. Oh, this is brain worms. Like, literally brain worms. It's like he saw, like, Count Dankula or some shit, and now he's like, yeah, I'm a Trump supporter. At first, I'm immediately like, is this guy a grifter? But then I remember, no, he's probably an idiot. I always forget that there are plenty of people who are just morons, and this guy's one of them.
Jokes and given prison sentences. In Canada, there have been people put on trial for criticizing different politics.
Yes. When I think of 2 countries that are less free than the United States of America, I think of countries with comparably robust welfare states and robust social safety nets. That's what I think of when I'm like, you know, independent liberty for me means like a comedian getting censored or some shit for, I don't know, getting his dog to Sig Heil, which is an otherwise silly and stupid thing to begin with. But it goes to show you that this dude's worldview is just so guided by YouTube algorithm.
Kamala Harris just the other day released a statement saying that President Trump found out on January 28th about COVID and he did nothing. He found out on the 28th, and then on January...
And then he did the travel ban from China.
January 29th, he established the task force, the U.S. Coronavirus Task Force. On January 30th, he closed the border to China again.
See, it's always the same, brother. So if he knew all this and did all this, why did he keep saying COVID's not a big deal? It's going to go away for like 2 months after. Why does no Trump supporter have an answer for this? Oh, because he was a cheerleader. Yeah, is he still cheerleading right now? Do you feel cheery, motherfucker? I feel very not cheerful.
One thing that I was kind of glad to see with Trump was, I would say he took a fairly libertarian approach to how he handled coronavirus, even though he
exactly. Oh, Maggie here is like correct, but also brain dead, but still correct.
States to open.
He did take a libertarian approach, which is really bad, both when it comes to, you know, trafficking your child as long as both parties consent. And also this, you should not have a free market libertarian approach to COVID. Yeah. That person is a data analyst? Like, what kind of data is she analyzing, bro?
New Zealand went over 100 days without a single case, and that's not because they have a low population. They just did really basic.
It's because they don't have a real country, brother. It's not real. Because they're communist island.
because this is reminding me a lot of 9/11, in that 9/11 was obviously something that was very real and affected everybody. But because everybody was so afraid at the time, the government was able to come in and impede on all of our rights. And anyone who tried to speak up for our constitutional rights was called anti-American, and you're with the terrorists. And I feel like that's kind of what is happening now. If anyone wants to consider what the other damage that is being done in fighting the coronavirus, you're told you just.
I wonder what, I mean, let's be real. This guy has no clue what he's talking about, but like I wonder what he thinks about like Donald Trump also expanding on the already beefed up surveillance state. And secondly, dog, one is like literally establishing like one of the most robust surveillance states in the history of the planet. The other one is just like wear a mask and you can't open up your business until we get over the hump. Meanwhile, coronavirus has literally caused like 100 9/11s, dude. Nearly. I see people wearing winter coats and hats. What a bunch of sheep. Lol. I did my own research and found out that only 1,500 people die from hypothermia in the U.S. per year. That's only 0.0005% of the population. They live in fear of something that 99.9995% of people don't die from. It gets better. A lot of the people who die from hypothermia were wearing coats and hats, and they still died. Coats don't work. Where did you get this? This is a really good copy pasta. I've never seen that, but like that's one of those like that's an excellent copy pasta.
Those are absolutely things that are happening. That the government is reading messages, spying on us, listen to anything that Edward Snowden has to say. So
right, that's what they did then, but that's not what's happening now.
Of course, it's still happening. We're still 20 years later trying to
I'm talking about COVID,
undo all the power
response
that the government took in 2001.
Really? Who's this wee bitch? Huh? You think Donald Trump is trying to dismantle the surveillance state, dog? What the kind of brain disease did you get, dude? You need to get back on the regular dick and get off Trump's dick pronto, okay? It is literally broken your brain.
I'm just saying a basic statement, like wear a mask when you're going grocery shopping to protect everyone around you. Like, I think we can all agree that that's a good idea and that's not...
No. And I'm going to shit myself and I'm going to rub my shit on everyone too, because God damn it, this is America and not some communist country like New Zealand, okay?
The other side circulates more fake news.
Me being an independent, I listen to everybody. So I'll listen to Fox, but here and there, I will listen to CNN. Okay, well, what's CNN saying? What's MSNBC saying and stuff? The negativity, like, I don't know how anybody could watch those on a day-to-day basis.
Whereas Fox News is so positive, I'm always watching Fox News to get positive reinforcement about normal ideas like immigrants are dirty and bringing in disease into the country, or that black people are going to come into my apartment and, my daughter. That sort of positivity can only be found on the most positive news network, Fox News.
Because for me personally, when I look at the trade deals that he did with the United States, Canada, Mexico agreement and everything, there are trade deals that Trump has implemented in his administration that have been very, very effective. If you really look at
what have they been effective at? What the f is she talking about, dude? Oh, Jesus Christ. Please, someone be like, what do you mean exactly? Can you describe the details of how it actually was effective?
You look at 2010 in October, the unemployment rate nationally was at 10. And by January 2017, when Trump got into office, it was at 4.7. The weekly earnings rate was already improving. The stock market was already the highest it was ever been in 2013. I would give this to Trump.
And then instead of normalizing it and listening to his own treasury, what Donald Trump did was unshackle the market and continue quantitative easing rather than stabilizing, because he was like, no, f it, let's go all the way, baby, all the way.
There was a study from Harvard showing that 94% of media coverage of Trump is negative.
When he's such a positive person, dude, I don't understand why the media is covering the big, wet, dumb, idiot baby president in a negative way. It's so weird that the guy who ran as Mexicans are rapists and, we must secure we must secure an existence for our white children, i.e. the 14 words, that guy, why are we being so negative about that guy? Come on, why can't you see the positives of his administration?
The New York Times, if they get a story wrong, if they publish misinformation on accident, they issue retractions. Journalists get fired. Editors get fired.
Okay, first of all, you're wrong, Joe. The Intercept, the greatest advocacy organization for Joseph Robinette Biden. Thank God for brave truth tellers like Glenn Greenwald, who have the courage to self-exile, just like Barry Weiss did, because they're sick and tired of the liberal propaganda, and not because they want to grift on their own Substack about how, you know, gay people and trans people on social media are actually responsible for the demise of the Western, are responsible for the demise of the leftist mobilization, or whatever Glenn says.
Well, show me where they've retracted saying that Trump called immigrants animals. Show me where they've retracted saying that he called Nazis very fine.
But he did say those things. Why would the media retract things that Donald Trump said?
Let's go with the most recent example in memory, which is the debate. He is asked very plainly as a presidential candidate, regardless of party, can you condemn the extremist people in this country who literally hate and want to kill and harm other people? That should be the easiest toss for any political candidate to do.
And he answered in the affirmative. Yeah, he said sure.
No, he didn't, dude. He said, stand back, stand by. Like, literally a layup. This guy's owning them, by the way. Holy fuck. Love this dude. Actually, love both of these guys. They are absolutely cumpstering and dumpstering the rest of the idiots on stage here. She's a centrist, kind of, so...
Stand back.
He did not.
No, he didn't.
He said
I don't
stand
think
back
he
and
did.
stand by.
No, he said sure, and then after that, he then said, well, look at Antifa and all those other people. He actually switched the blame. This was not something that we saw.
Yeah, Amy, shut the fuck up real quick. When Young Summit or post-COVID Summit over here started doling out facts, okay? It was like, oh, you want some facts? Here, I went to the fact store. I have extra. Go ahead.
As soon as he was asked, like, will you condemn white supremacy, he answered in the affirmative. Like, he said sure. He said sure multiple times.
Sure. I'll just condemn white supremacy. Sure. It's like, dude, like, why can't this lady just be like, I kind of like that he's a white supremacist? Like, that's literally why you're probably voting for him. Like, there's a reason why Donald Trump can't say, of course, fuck white supremacists. Okay? And that reason is because of people like you who are low-key kind of on board with that, okay?
Chris Wallace said, like, will you ask them to stand down, I think? And so Trump, he used the word stand by, which most people, like, take to mean kind of like be on the ready. And I'm sure you guys all watched the debate, but I would say that if you go back and watch the entire clip leading up to that, I would say...
Bro, they always say that. They're like, dude, everyone turns into a Jordan Peterson fan. Like, conservatives can never just be like, no, this is in context. Like, everything is outside of context. Meanwhile, they literally will clip shit in a way like they did with the 9/11 stuff that I was talking about. Like, in a way that they clip it in the least favorable, charitable way possible to be like, no, this guy loves 9/11. This motherfucker is the president, all right? It's not just his words, it's his actions, okay? If you're running for president and your campaign message is like Mexicans are rapists, we got to stop Muslims from, bombing our cities and shit. That's why we're going to do a full-blown Muslim ban, and then you actually follow through on that, and then you on top of that are like, there's very fine people on both sides, on the Nazi side and the people that are opposing the Nazis. It's a wrap. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you trying to defend? Dude, what you need to understand is, like, back in 1987, Trump once saw a black child and said, hey black child, would you like this candy? So obviously that means he's not racist, okay? You need to understand the full context of Trump. Oh yeah, you're a fan of Trump? Name 5 of his albums. Is literally always the counter. Oh, Trump is a racist? Well, here is extensive documentation reaching all the way back to 1987 where he has been in the vicinity of black people, or he has taken photographs with black people, or he has said otherwise that he is fond of a black person. So there you go. Proof that he's not racist.
And when I was watching that debate and Joe Biden was all like, Proud Boys, you know what I mean? Why doesn't he just say, hey, I literally just made the KKK a terrorist organization? That right there, you're disavowing white.
Wait, first of all, no, he didn't. It's unconstitutional. It's literally against the First Amendment. You can't do that. Secondly, the only reason why he tried to do that was so that he could legislate Antifa. As a matter of fact, Trump's own Department of Homeland Security and his own intelligence communities have literally been like leaking information to the press to be like, hey, we are aware that white supremacy is a big deal and kind of a big problem now. It's getting to a point where it's basically unavoidable. Like, we have to do something about it because it's actually a massive national security threat. And Donald Trump has directed his own intelligence communities to stop looking at white supremacy and tried to get them to, you know, manufacture shit like black identity extremists. It's nuts.
When you see what he has done for the black community, when it's the opportunity zones, whether it's the prison reform, whether it's fighting for school choice, which, girl, that helps those black single mothers that are out there in the community who live in these impoverished zones and everything. Their children aren't sentenced into really shitty schools and everything. Excuse my friend.
School choice, as an educator, that literally almost can demolish the public school system. Why not fix the public schools that are currently crumbling?
Yeah, never mind. I said she was a centrist. I was wrong. She's great. That's right. That's right.
Funding to those schools. Why is it that those students have to rely on schools just for food? You know, I'm teaching out of a textbook from 2008.
School choice is absolutely, without a doubt, anti-black, okay? Black kids rely on the public education system in higher percentages than white kids do. School choice eviscerates the public education system, takes away its funds, and gives it to charter schools, therefore allowing some black kids, if they're able to get vouchers and if they're able to actually travel to the other school, to be able to go to a better school overall, maybe, by the way, in theory, because that's not how it works out in practice, because charter schools are actually unregulated and therefore can literally shut off and not work. Shutter in the middle of a school year, as it happens all around the country frequently. But the real reason, the biggest reason why school choice is like anti-black is because it allows private schools to get more funds and personally segregate. Like, absolutely, without a doubt, segregate and not have any black children if they don't want to.
It's not going to be long before the tiki torches turn to guns and people shooting at each other like we saw in Kenosha, Wisconsin. That was unfortunately 2 people's lives lost. What happens when it's 30, when it's 50? How much violence are we going to be able to tolerate in this country?
I'm not saying he's a hero, but what are you supposed to do when you have people attacking you, charging you with guns, and are about to shoot you?
I don't think he should have been there. He came across state lines with an AR-15 to a protest. Like, you asked for problems just being there. You shouldn't have been there.
Joe is absolutely correct. He 1000% was like looking for shit, and he found it, and he ended up killing 2 people. I don't know why like so many Republicans refuse to acknowledge that.
Mail-in ballots are the most susceptible to fraud. We should just keep things how they've been.
Colorado has been a state that's voted almost entirely by mail now for years. They have no fraud, right? Like, doing vote by mail fraud is extremely hard because those ballots are unique. And if there's any allegations of fraud, they still compare signatures just like you would with in-person ballots.
Democrats, I believe it was in California, wanted to get rid of signature verification.
Mm-hmm. They said it was racist. It was racist to have your ID at a voting poll all of a sudden.
If we're being
The reason why they don't like that, the reason why they want to get rid of the signature check, or the reason why they want to remove voter ID laws is because it literally greatly restricts black people from voting. Okay? And that's the reason why that's the angle that Republicans use to suppress the vote. Okay? That's it. The reason why Republicans are like, oh, you need a voter ID to vote is precisely because they look at DMV data and find out if in a specific area where like black and brown people don't have driver's licenses, and if it's like, I don't know, 5 hours to go out and get one, then they're like, all right, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
But my question to you, Mike, is if Trump wins the election, do you think he's still going to be pushing for fraud?
No, I mean, I think we'll see what happens. I think it depends on the facts, if there is any.
He's only going to push for fraud if a liberal candidate wins. But if he wins, everything, we can trust it. It's great.
Wrong. He literally said that there was still fraud. He's not just a sore loser, he's a sore winner too.
I did have kind of a story to give regarding mail-in voting and whether or not it is corruptible. I have 2 roommates, and I know that they're not voting the same way I am. And I received both of their mail-in ballots. I have integrity, like I just gave it to each of them. But the thought did occur to me, like...
The thought occurred to her? What the fuck? It's like saying, like, you know, I saw a knife at the kitchen cabinet and I thought, like, I could just stab this baby and kill it right now. Dude, it's not that easy, okay? Why is the thought occurring to you? So weird.
The ACA was a very double-edged sword. It's not about whether you have healthcare or don't have healthcare. Trump has always said that he is in favor of outlawing the pre-existing condition law. And the thing is, the ACA didn't work so well. The ACA hasn't worked so well for all of us. My parents are both cancer survivors. Their insurance got so much more expensive. They lost their insurance because of it. My mom is a survivor of brain cancer who lost the doctor that put her in remission because of the ACA.
So was that shit contagious? Because my boy seemingly also has some of that.
I think if we're going to talk about the recession, let's look at what Joe Biden has done, because he's the one who is actually on the ballot. When he was in the Senate, he removed protections that had been in place since FDR on the big banks. There was the bankruptcy bill, which allowed the banks to become too big to fail and caused middle-class people to lose their home.
Wait, but I don't understand. So, like, what he's saying is not wrong, but, like, why are you a Trump fan then? Like, I don't get it. Wait, or unless he talked about something that I misunderstood. I thought he was talking about Glass-Steagall, right? But so then how is he going to tie this up to, like, voting for Donald Trump? Because like, all of that's true. The Democratic Party absolutely has conceded to like Wall Street deregulation time and time again. Absolutely played a gigantic role in all of our recessions or any sort of like economic turmoil that we face now. But Donald Trump also is on board with all of that and like was president for 4 years, didn't do anything about that, took away like the limited measures that Obama had even put in place. Like there was like a fiduciary responsibility for finance people to be beholden to the people that they're selling mortgages to or whatever. Like, I mean, this makes no sense. Like, Donald Trump's administration continued deregulating Wall Street. Like, even the limited checks that were put in place during Obama in the aftermath of 2008, Donald Trump immediately sought to deregulate. So what does that even mean? Like, why are you a fan of Donald Trump then? Like, you can't just be like, Joe Biden did this, and this, and that's why I'm voting for Trump, without saying, like, what Donald Trump has done when Donald Trump has continued on with the exact same deregulation.
I do think that public school is not the same as education. And I think that if we're thinking about the good of students in general, choice and competition is extremely important. In any system, when you introduce competition, almost always quality goes up and cost goes down.
What? First of all, deregulation isn't even like pro-competition, okay? Like, that's not even true. And there are certain instances where, I mean, that's just categorically false when it comes to the USPS, for example, okay? There's no such thing as like competition making the United States Postal Service better. As a matter of fact, the only reason why people in libertarian safe havens like rural parts of Nebraska or Alaska for that matter.
But I genuinely truly believe that Trump has totally changed the Republican Party. I hated the old Republican Party. Like, and all of those old Republicans that are still around,
Dude, the old Republican Party is the same as Trump's Republican Party. It's literally the same people. Like, who do you think is in the Senate, you dingus? You think Donald Trump is voting on behalf of every single Republican? Why is it that Republicans vote 90% plus for Trump's agenda? Like, what do you think is going on? Like, these motherfuckers have been there in perpetuity. Like, what do you mean? This is not a new Republican Party. Trump's agenda is not even new. The only thing different about Donald Trump, outside of like the tariffs and shit, is that he's just mask off racist instead of doing the talking points and dog whistles. Like, if you unironically say, I love how Donald Trump has reformed the Republican Party, you're basically saying, I always liked the Republican policies. I just didn't understand. Like, I really needed to hear the racist shit.
And I think Trump has totally changed that. He's brought LGBT groups into the White House. He has done so many things. The role that many of us in the party now need to have is to keep that ball rolling and keep changing a party that has sucked for so many years.
Yeah, dude. He brought LGBT into the White House so Mike Pence could kill them. Like, so Mike Pence could do like gay conversion therapy to them directly.
One of the things I always say to them is do not become what you walked away from. So I think the worst thing we could do is buy into tribalism and groupthink. I've been a Democrat, I've been an independent, now I'm a Republican. So for me personally, the moment that the Republican...
You know what hasn't changed though? You've been an idiot. You were a stupid Democrat and now you're a stupid Republican.
It sounds beautiful on paper. It sounds great. In fact, if I didn't know much about socialism, I'd say, hey, Free healthcare, free school, free housing, free. Why not? I would love for anybody, especially on like the Joe Biden.
Dude, I'm sorry. You're so stupid, dude. You're so stupid. First of all, you're a veteran, okay? If there's one group of people in this country that like at least have more of a socialized system that they benefit from, it's veterans, okay? Number one. So please do some self-reflection, all right? You literally have a government's job, a government jobs program that you participated in that offers you nationalized health care, okay? So what the are you talking about? Like whenever people are like free, that sounds so silly. It's like, first of all, it's not free. Taxes obviously pay for it. Secondly, it literally works all around the world. And lastly, it's ridiculous that you as a veteran would have this take when you at least have like a more normal system in comparison, a closer system to Europe in comparison to like most other people. Even in that circumstance, however, of course, it's still dog shit. Veterans don't get the healthcare that they need, all right, in most circumstances. Only if you're lucky or really unlucky do you, as a veteran, get the actual treatment that is necessary. That's one. College education, same shit. Your job prospects are still limited. And no, you shouldn't sell your body to the American imperialist war machine so that you can have these normal social safety nets that are otherwise given to every single individual unconditionally if they were born on European soil.
I want everyone to have access to quality healthcare. I want everyone to have access to quality education. I think everyone deserves a home or somewhere to live in. I think everyone deserves to have food on the table at night. I think when you retire, you should have access to Medicare. I think these are very basic level of playing field for everybody. I listen to Republicans all the time, and I don't hear them saying they want to do any of the things I just described. But right here in New York City, there's 1 in 5 kids who are homeless. Like, what are we doing? There's got to be a balance between people who have so much money, just hoarding billions and billions of dollars, and people suffering because our governments at the state and local level don't have the money to help them. And we have people at the federal level, mostly the Republican Party, that don't want to spend any money to help them. Donald Trump is 70-something years old. He doesn't have to deal with climate. But me, being on Staten Island, sitting on the edge of the Atlantic, I do. This affects our home prices. This is going to affect our generation for decades. And the longer...
I mean, he was a Warrenite, so he probably hates me, but he's great.
Whatever system we're talking about that puts more power in the hands of the government and has the government control the means of production or whatever it is, I would say empirically, like when you look at when that has been tried, that has led to
Venezuela! Say it.
Worse education, it's led to worse healthcare, it's led to increased poverty.
I'm not advocating.
Yes.
Say it! And say it!
And I would also say that free education is not the same thing as good education. So I think a really good example...
I mean, you need some. Like, no matter what, Maggie, free, paid, you need some education because clearly it didn't take, okay? Just saying. You need something.
Example is Canada. Healthcare is free, but the quality is super duper low. And if you go to public healthcare in Canada, if it's an emergency, sometimes...
What the f*** is she... Oh, God, dude. Yo, this is why Steven Crowder needs to be banned off all platforms, okay? You listen to his nonsense and you're like, oh, no, people in Canada are dying, dude, literally.
But the Green New Deal right now, that's what they want to do, especially when
let's talk about the Green New Deal, right? Like
the Green New Deal, trillions of dollars with no actual plan.
The plan is simple. We need to rebuild the infrastructure in this country to be more climate resilient because places like right here in Staten Island get destroyed every time there's a tropical storm, let alone another Hurricane Sandy. It's literally the most capitalistic thing the Democratic Party could possibly come up with to boost our economy.
This guy's great.
Trump just signed a deal where we're going to be planting 1 trillion trees. Trees have a very big importance on our country, on our planet as a whole.
So I just want to be honest scientifically, right? Like the reality is he can plant 2 million trees, but the Amazon in Brazil is burning at a rate we've never experienced in global history. And it doesn't matter how many trees we plant in America if the planet's screwed. Right? At the end of the day, we have to stop putting carbon in the air. And California is a great example of a state.
Trees absorb carbon.
But we need to stop putting it in the air to begin with. That's the problem.
And in terms of the Green New Deal, I feel like this is a concern that a lot of people on the right have, that it always starts with something that sounds very lovely. Save the planet. Cost was tens of trillions of dollars. So I do agree with you that I think we should be investing in jobs.
And then you close your eyes for one moment, communism.
I say is when we look at media as the mainstream media, but we don't.
My man. Good shit, Joe.
Can I ask you, like, where does everybody get their news sources from?
I don't really watch much cable TV because I think it's kind of, cable TV is like, I think people confuse cable TV for journalism. Cable TV is predominantly personalities speaking.
It was about to be like, I watch HasanAbi on Twitch.
That everybody's has their own personal agenda, and I use it as a top layer, and then I got to go in deeper to find the actual facts. So when people talk about the stock market, I'll actually go to Dow Jones. If they're talking about unemployment rate, I'll actually go to, Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I love all you guys. I think this was a great conversation. This was so refreshing to me. But I know that we all grew up in completely different environments.
I think we should stop normalizing Trump supporters.
We have different
That's what I think.
So I would just say to anyone watching, think for yourself, do your own research, vote for whoever the hell you want to vote for.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck off. Don't vote for Donald Trump.